first step in the design cycle is to define the problem.
The requirements for our project were that it had to fit into a half-meter box.
It had to be able to move on its own in some way.
Any material could be used, but the design must be unique.
There must be a creative intent.
And it had to be battery-operated.
The judges at FED were looking for its creativity, function, and clear intent.
And we also had a $40 budget.
The hardest part about looking for solutions was knowing where to begin. None of us had any previous experience with animatronics, electronics, or anything of that sort, so we were all really lost. Once we finally did find our bearings, after many searches on the internet and trips to the hobby shop, we came to the conclusion that we had two choices. The first, we could buy brand new servo motors, which would be very expensive and take a pretty large chunk out of our budget, or we could find something that already had motors in it and take them out of there and use them in our project. Once we came to our two possible solutions, we tried buying new servo motors first. We soon came to find out that in order to operate those, we needed a very expensive piece of hardware that we weren't willing to spend the money on. So we took those back and we dug our heels into the idea of finding motors inside something else. We found an animatronic witch at Goodwill, which we took the motor out of there and used, and then we also bought a $12 remote control car and used the motors from there to operate our animatronic.
For the build portion of the design cycle, we first wanted to learn more about animatronics. So first we took apart a toy witch and an RC car. This gave us a better understanding of how animatronics moved and what signaled their motors. We wanted 3 moving parts for our fisherman: the arm, the head, and the reel. We built a wood and aluminum frame for the body and attached the 3 motors to the points of motion. We used the control board from the RC car to signal the motors when to move, and it all was powered by 3 AA batteries. We used the face and the hands from the witch and clothed him with fishing gear from a stuffed animal. This gave the animatronic the appearance of a fisherman, along with the movable capability. With our group's test and check portion of the design cycle, we really had to ensure Uncle Roy's motors would function properly. We found that his initial fishing rod was too heavy for his arm motor, so we replaced the fishing rod with a lightweight straw. Also, after we clothed the animatronic, we found that the clothing was too heavy for the arm to operate also. We reduced the weight of the shirt by trimming the excess material. Before FED, we continued to test Uncle Roy on several occasions to make sure he would operate correctly for the judges.
We faced quite a few challenges throughout the course of this project. I'll highlight the 3 main ones. The first was money. Naturally, electronics are fairly expensive. We combated this by going to Goodwill and purchasing an animatronic we found there and using the motors from that in our project. And we also purchased a very cheap RC car and recycled the motors in there to power our project. The next was the strength of the motors. Because we didn't spend a whole lot of money on them, they were all fairly weak. That became a problem when we tried to connect the fishing pole that we originally had to the motors, and it was too heavy. We fixed this by using a straw, which was lighter and also allowed the line to flow through it. Secondly, when we added the clothes, they were also too heavy. We combated this by cutting out part of the shoulder and reducing the friction that the clothes created. And our last challenge that we faced was the scariness of it, because we used the witch's face. We combated this by fixing the eyes and also fixing the tone of the skin. It is still kind of frightening, but it is a lot better than what we started with.
At FED, we arrived early to set up our project. We wanted a good spot so we could show off Uncle Roy.
As the judges walked around from group to group, we began to get nervous awaiting our turn. We ended up being judged last.
However, the wait was worth it. We got a total score of 97, missing first place by only 1 point. We tied for third and were very proud of what we had accomplished this semester.
Specific to the function of Uncle Roy, we would get a stronger motor for his arm.
There is always room for improvement, and we found this statement to be true during the FED process.
One improvement that we would make would be being completely prepared. We ran into a problem the night before FED as we were testing Uncle Roy again. Uncle Roy wouldn't start and we realized he ran out of batteries. Luckily, we noticed this problem before FED, but we definitely would recommend backup batteries and being prepared.
Another improvement we could make if we had more time and money would be improving Uncle Roy's fashion sense and overall appearance.
We recommend having set meeting times. We met every Tuesday at 8 in the same location, so this made planning our schedules easier. When additional meetings were needed, we would just add one based on availability.
One piece of advice I would give to upcoming freshmen about Fed is that it is never too early to start building. You want to make sure you finish a week or two before Fed, just in case you run into any problems.